I am a mother of one. I was raised in Dalton. I graduated from Thornton Ridge. I worked at Dalton Park, worked at Dalton Library. So I would say I'm a definite true citizen of Dalton, and I'm a survivor.
Tiffany Henyard, the controversial mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is under increasing scrutiny as victims allege that she not only committed misconduct, but also actively concealed crimes perpetrated by others in her administration.
She was trying to coach me to let me know that this is the game. Like that's our favorite thing. This is the game. I'm teaching you the game, and I want you to be able to have opportunities that I had because I am the first Black woman mayor of Dalton, and you can be the one taking my seat. Like that was just one of those things that she always wanted. She always wanted to elevate herself, and then elevate people under her, which was what she said that she wanted to do. Why not now? Right? And you'll hear so many stories of, oh, well, she waited 20 years and she waited 30 years. I knew if it was ever happened to me, absolutely not. That I knew justice needed to come immediately. And that's why. So it might seem like it's a now for you, but this has been a long journey for me already. And I've already put my suffering aside. I put my depression aside. I've worked on all that. I did my praying on if I should be sitting in front of you today saying my story. And I'm ready. That's why now. And I'm not just fighting for me no more. I realize that I'm fighting for every woman that's been in my position. I'm fighting for a sister that doesn't have a voice. I'm fighting for a sister that's scared. I'm fighting for a sister who doesn't have a sister. I'm fighting, not just for me.
In a startling development, multiple victims have accused a Doane trustee of sexual assault, with allegations suggesting that Tiffany Henyard may have covered up these incidents to shield the trustee. This has sparked considerable outrage among residents. Victims have voiced their frustration, claiming they were silenced and their cases ignored to preserve the public image of both the trustee and Henyard.
Remember, the young lady, she was drugged, so she don't remember. All she know is she woke up in Andrew Holmes' hotel room. She didn't know how she got there. It's really disturbing, okay? And one thing I do want to point out is it was several of them that went out for drinks after they went to eat. They went out for drinks, and I guess Andrew Holmes decided and mean to victimize this female. He had ill deeds coming. He wanted to victimize this lady. Okay, so I'm starting right here. After dinner, the complainant went out with the Dalton trustees and employee of Thornton, who the complainant knew well and thought of as an uncle, okay? He was significantly older than her. At some point during the evening, the complainant started to feel disoriented.
Residents of Dalton have grown increasingly discontented with Tiffany Henyard's leadership, alleging that her actions have repeatedly harmed the community. Many accuse her of exploiting her power for personal gain and neglecting the town's needs.
Sean Paul Reyes, I'm an independent journalist. My company's name is Long Island Audit Inc. I travel around the country from New York to California and everywhere in between investigating corruption. I have never, ever seen corruption like Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Super mayor, super corrupt. Your police department threatened your police chief, who's not even qualified to be the police chief, can't even pass a simple exam, not even qualified, pulled out his handcuffs to try and intimidate me with unlawful arrest. Another officer threatened to throw me into a cell. There's over 15,000 people here watching you live, Mayor Henyard, and you're being a coward. You won't even look me in the eye. 15,000 people and you're disrespectful. 15,000 people watching you here. I've gone to every single state almost, and I've seen the worst of the worst politicians, police officers from Connecticut, everywhere in between. And I've never seen a police department this bad. It needs to be disbanded. You talk about these receipts, where are they? You do these podcasts, but you don't say anything. You don't say anything. I got receipts, you show papers, you shuffle them around, and you don't do anything. Lori Lightfoot's not gonna get you. The FBI is going to get you, and they're going to throw you in the federal penitentiary. That day is going to come. Lori Lightfoot, to everybody here from Dalton and everybody watching, she has no legal authority to do anything. It's a waste of time. She has a waste of time and money. It's going to cost you at least $30,000, and she has no subpoena power. She's getting paid $400 an hour. $30,000 is 72 hours. She'll be done in 2 weeks. And then what is she going to find? That this woman that we all know she's corrupt is corrupt?
In a dramatic turn, a Doan trustee has emerged as a whistleblower, revealing Tiffany Henyard's alleged misconduct. The trustee has presented evidence suggesting Henyard's involvement in illegal activities, such as financial mismanagement and abuse of power. This revelation has heightened demands for a comprehensive investigation into Henyard's actions as mayor.
Taxpayer money, multiple millions of dollars from her own people's, from her own town's bank accounts, okay? And it's wild, right? Millions of dollars. What I find really interesting about this situation is that it seems like the rest of the world who's been following this is following it because they all understood the assignment. They all understood what was going on. Now, it seems like one other board of trustees, okay, finally got the memo. Yeah, I think she finally got the memo.
But now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower.
She comes out saying, I'm a whistleblower. Trustee turns on Tiffany Henyard. Let me just say this. It's about damn time. Dag nabbit. It's about damn time. Let's take a look at this article here, okay? And we're just going into her quote here because, again, maybe some of her trustees are finally starting to fall off bit by bit. It's just taking a little bit longer than expected, which is crazy. Today, I'm breaking my silence and speaking out against Thornton Township Supervisor and Mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard, who I believe has engaged in unethical and predatory behavior throughout her tenure. Man, I gotta use this. Wow. Wow. Okay, and this is Carmen Carlisle, okay, who wrote this emailed statement to this news station.
Tiffany Henyard is under federal investigation for various aspects of her conduct as mayor, including allegations of corruption, misuse of public funds, and obstruction of justice. Federal agents are examining claims that Henyard leveraged her position for personal gain, shielded allies involved in illegal activities.
Let me say something. Dalton is entirely too small. I'm in a 70,000 person town.
20,000 people.
I'm in a 70,000 person town, and so it's a third the size of my town. And we're not on national news for some stuff like this. That can never be good. And what I hope for the sister, because I don't want to see nobody get in trouble. Okay, don't start none, won't be none. I don't want the sister to get in trouble. What I'm hoping is all we're talking about is them being petty and them being childish and her being disrespectful. There's something to be said about that, but hopefully that's all it is. The problem is if you look at the questions that are being asked and not necessarily answered, if you're looking at the sniff and the appearance, at the very least, of impropriety, and you're looking at the lack of transparency, being transparent. And she starts everything that she's saying with everything she does well for the community. So it's like, hey, we did this, this, and this. So it's okay if I don't let you know what I'm doing. If it's okay if I'm less than transparent, or in a worst case scenario, for those that believe that way, and she hasn't been convicted of anything, it's okay that I steal. And she is drawing entirely too much.
Tiffany Henyard is also facing charges of money laundering. Reports indicate that she allegedly used her political position to redirect public funds into private ventures, concealing the true purpose of these transactions.
Your trustee, Mayor Pro Tem here for the Village of Dalton. Together with my colleagues on the board, we have been steadfast in our efforts to stop the gross mismanagement and abuse of power that people have seen in the village today. So having said that, we've got many things that have been credibly reported in the news that it's just time to stop. As my brother Kevin Bowen says, we have to change the narrative around Dalton, and that begins today. We've seen all kinds of spending, countless spending on Vegas trips, first-class flights, luxury hotels and fine dining all on the taxpayers. We've also seen $1 million a year of security following around one individual instead of being on the streets where they belong. Meanwhile, we have pensions going unfunded, bills going unpaid. The lawsuits come in one after another. Legal fees are skyrocketing, and year after year, we got multi-million-dollar deficits that we have to face and cure.
The FBI has initiated an investigation into Tiffany Henyard's management of Dalton's tax expenditures. Allegations suggest that Henyard misappropriated taxpayer funds, diverting money intended for public projects to personal expenses. The investigation seeks to reveal the extent of these expenditures and assess whether there was any criminal intent behind her financial.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime. And instead, we have several officers that are riding around protecting America.
The former police chief in South Suburban Dalton is speaking out for the first time to just one station about Mayor Tiffany Henyard's controversial police security detail and how it impacted his ability to fight crime.
Last year, a Fox 32 investigation showed how that detail is taking officers off the street and costing taxpayers thousands of dollars in overtime. Dane Placco continues his investigation, exclusively talking to the former top cop who tried to put a stop to it.
Tiffany Henyard's controversial past has frequently overshadowed her political career. She has faced multiple accusations and legal issues, including a widely circulated mugshot that has amplified public scrutiny. This image has come to symbolize her contentious leadership, deepening the public's distrust.
Arrested July 20th, 2016, and released a day later. And her charge was criminal trespass to vehicles. What is criminal trespass? The criminal act involves unauthorized entry into a vehicle owned by someone else. This offense doesn't necessarily involve death or damage to the vehicle. The key element is unauthorized entry. You got into a vehicle that wasn't yours. It is considered a form of trespass, which typically involves entering or maintaining on property without permission. That is a pretty serious crime. Nothing to scoff at. It's not something minor. My car was broken into during the pandemic. Getting into someone's vehicle is like going into someone's house. So Dalton just can't catch a break. Results for Tiffany Henyard were found to be invalid due to a combination of legal and procedural problems. The Illinois First Appellate Court ruled that the Dalton Village Board made a mistake in attempting to ask voters to both create a recall provision and to recall Henyard from office in the same election. Simply put, they tried to make a new rule about how to remove a mayor and use it at the same time. But the law says you can't do both at one time. You have to make the rule first, and then later you can use it to decide if the mayor should be.
Frustrated with Tiffany Henyard's leadership, Dalton trustees have moved to curtail her power and hold her accountable for her actions. Many trustees have openly criticized Henyard, accusing her of flouting the law and retaliating against those who challenge her administration's alleged corrupt practices.
We're not going to trust you to buy property, whether you can do it or not. So, then Henyard's like, you can do it if you understand. It's not about understanding why. They don't trust you at all to do anything. I think the FBI is going to set her straight as well, but that's where the meeting was. It was Henyard with her propaganda nonsense, with the terrible videos, old videos, recycled edited clips. And then it came to Kirk Key, Trustee Belcher, Trustee Norwood setting her straight, saying whatever you were saying was complete nonsense. And you could tell Belcher got under Henyard's skin. She was mad at all of the public comments, completely roasting her. Completely. You're not only you're incompetent, you're a thief, you're stupid. Like, you're just dumb. You're embarrassing yourself. All these things. I mean, it was quite the spectacle. So I think at that end, he couldn't take it anymore. And obviously Belcher was just tired of her lying. And that's why
In a bizarre incident that drew widespread attention, Tiffany Henyard attended an official meeting dressed as Nino Brown, a fictional drug lord from the movie New Jack City *. This inappropriate attire in a professional setting drew criticism from both the public and officials, who viewed it as a glaring example of her disregard for the decorum expected of a public servant.
She dressed up from that clip I showed you earlier of Nino Brown. So she did this at a board meeting. Not only that, now I'm assuming that taxpayer funds were used to pay for all of this. So she dressed up as him. Her ensemble included a stuffed toy dog at her side, just as Brown had a real one in the movie. Also, she brought in a DJ. During the meeting, Henyard had the DJ punctuate her political points with musical cues, including Rihanna's hit single "Be Better Have My Money," where she demanded trustees approve a bill for a village ice rink. That is one of 2 ice rink trustees say they never authorized spending money on.
Critics have frequently branded Tiffany Henyard as one of the most criminally inclined figures to hold office in Dalton. They argue that her history of alleged illegal activities, coupled with her controversial decisions as mayor, portrays a leader more focused on personal gain than on public service. Detractors have labeled her administration as among the most corrupt in Dalton.
To her privately owned cancer awareness charity, which you cannot do. And in one of those investigations that the chief of police was investigating, it stated here in this tweet, and shout out to this person for tweeting this, they said Mayor Tiffany Henyard is one of the most corrupt ever. She actually hired a child offender, overpays her police officers. She overpays her police officers to be her security, which what do you need that much security for? You're a mayor of a town with about 20,000 people. One of the officers was paid $13,000 in 2 weeks for 300 hours of overtime, because nobody believes that. Nobody believes that anybody worked 300 hours of overtime. So this has to be investigated, because it looks like these numbers were being padded. So the chief of police, or the ex-chief of police, had his attorney investigate these claims, and they're standing behind them that there were allegations of corruption, and he was investigating them. Now I'm going to do a little bit more digging, because I think there's a lot more to know about this Tiffany Henyard story, because anybody who shows up to a city town hall meeting dressed like Nino Brown is definitely doing something that they shouldn't be.
Many Dalton residents and critics have labeled Tiffany Henyard as the worst mayor the town has ever had, citing mismanagement, corruption, and a series of scandals. They argue that her tenure has brought disgrace to the office, and that the widespread dissatisfaction with her leadership is driving increasing calls for her resignation.
Included Tiffany Henyard's Happy Martin Luther King Day poster, where she put herself on the poster very big, and then put MLK in the bottom, in this little box, these 2 boxes. I guess you would say that was Martin Luther King's dream. Here we could see she wished everybody a happy Valentine's Day. Of course, she was on the photo. On the night of Valentine's Day, she held a party, which was, of course, a party not just for the town, but more specifically for herself and her friends at the town's ice skating rink. Here she is at it. This ice rink was really never supposed to be built, because the town's in $1 million of debt. And she then put out a video where she bragged about building it, despite being told, no, don't build it.
Hey y'all! It's your mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard, the people's mayor. We here in the village of Dalton, and we about to get our skate on. Remember, when all 5 of them trustees said no, look what God did.
Things are looking a little murky for the future of Tiffany, as the town has been ordered to release spending records after mayor and her allies accused of lavish purchases. As you can see, the town's already $7 million.
Tiffany Henyard has been accused of diverting taxpayer money for personal expenses. Reports indicate that funds intended for community development were spent on luxury items, personal travel, and other non-public uses. These allegations have led to demands for audits and heightened oversight of her office's financial practices.
At $3.5 million in debt, and she has put it all the way up to 7. Those are some good numbers, Tiffany. At this Valentine's Day party on the skating rink, Tiffany had multiple security guards around her at all times, as if she was the president, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3. Tiffany has also fallen under criticism for shutting down local businesses that don't contribute to her campaign. And as you can see here, she is dressed as the gangster Nino Brown from the movie New Jack City. Nino was a gangster in the movie. The New York Post actually picked up all of this absolutely insane behavior that she has really started to really kick up this year, and put in their newspaper, Chicago Burbs is a dictator.
Fed up with Tiffany Henyard's alleged misconduct and disregard for lawful governance, Dalton trustees have demanded her resignation. They argue that her continued presence in office harms the community and have called for immediate changes to restore integrity to local government.
Tiffany Henyard is the most controversial mayor in all of America. So this mayor named Tiffany Henyard is the mayor of a place called Dalton, Illinois. And essentially every single resident in Dalton wants Tiffany out of office. This is mainly because Tiffany's very controversial use of taxpayer money. For starters, Tiffany has a full security detail that goes everywhere with her in the town. This security detail is estimated to be about $250K a year. In addition to security, Tiffany also uses taxpayer funds to do things like buying billboards with her face and name on it. She also puts her name all over government vehicles and buildings throughout the town. And she even has her own 2024 calendar. And of course, she put her own birthday in the calendar. Now, in addition to all of this, Tiffany has also made it extremely hard for anyone to run against her. Currently, she makes around $225K a year. However, if someone were to run against her and win, they would not be getting anywhere close to what Tiffany's making. This is because Tiffany is proposing a 90% cut in her salary, but only if someone who is not her is elected. This would drop the pay from $225K to just $25K. Yet even with that massive pay cut, people still want to run against Tiffany just so they can get her out.
The growing evidence of alleged illegal activities. Legal experts predict that Tiffany Henyard may soon face serious legal consequences, including the possibility of jail time. Investigations are ongoing, and many believe that Henyard's time in office is coming to an end as legal pressures continue to intensify.
Chicagoland's super mayor might be going to a supermax prison very soon. The FBI issued multiple subpoenas in the last week, and now we know that a federal grand jury has been investigating Tiffany Henyard for corruption since November. I do not know what more they need to see. The residents of the town literally had a rally called Take Our Township Back last week. It won't be her first time behind bars, but unlike when she was arrested for vehicle trespass, she is now facing 22 criminal charges, and her own lawyer just dropped out because guess what? She hasn't paid her bills, and the city now owes as much as $20 million.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for the next update.